I'm taking 2 classes on Nietzsche this semester, and in my political science class, it's called Nietzsche and Postmodern Politics. The other class I'm taking is just called Nietzsche. It's, you know, a philosophical take on the class, and the teacher reminds me of Charlton Heston. But in the political science class, I have a really good teacher for that class, although he did seem to say a couple things which made me think that he was somewhat disparaging of people like Dawkins and Hitchens and Harris, but he hasn't said anything outright, so we'll see where that goes. But we've been talking about the crisis of modernity and the death of God. Now, even if you've never read anything Nietzsche ever wrote, which, I mean, most people have probably read at least like a bumper sticker from him or something like that. Or they've heard quotes like "God is dead" and "What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger," and that sort of thing. Or "What doesn't kill me only makes me stronger." I don't remember what the exact quote is, but it's not important. My point is the teacher in my Nietzsche and Postmodern Politics class, when explaining the death of God, was essentially saying that, you know, religion and God, as it had been believed for thousands of years before Nietzsche, had really become unbelievable. And so Nietzsche was declaring God was dead, because by Nietzsche's own time, Christianity had just become everybody's favorite thing to kick around, as the teacher put it, and really, you know, anyone, you know, pretty much all of the intellectual elite were attacking Christianity. And one of the people in the class sort of objected and said, well, sure, that's one way of interpreting the Bible, but here's another way, and you know, that's one way of you know, framing what God is, but here's another possible way. And I think that and I don't want to say that the teacher didn't do a good job of explaining, because the teacher basically said what I'm about to say, but I thought of it as, you know, I had my hand raised to respond, but then the teacher just responded for me. The way that I would respond to this, you know, well, sure, the Bible isn't literally interpreted, is, number one, historically speaking, if you were to take a liberal theologian and you know, get them in their DeLorean and go back to the Middle Ages and have them spout all this stuff about, well, you know, that's just a metaphor, and you know, God-guided evolution, and the world's billions of years old, and you know, it's metaphorical, and da 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 da, in the way that Christianity is, you know, or really post-Christianity is sort of interpreted today. That person likely would have been burnt at the stake. I really mean that too. Most you know, I mean, there are many people who call themselves Christians and Christian theologians and reverends, pastors, that just would have been, you know, burnt alive a couple hundred years ago. But a lot of people argue that in America's a uniquely religious country, but I think that God is dead, or God 1.0 and religion 1.0 is dead even here in America. And I think I can prove that by pointing out one thing, and that is, at least colloquially speaking, the term fundamentalist has become a pejorative. Oh, that person's a fundamentalist atheist. Well, what does it mean to be a fundamentalist when it comes right down to it? Of course, it goes back to a pamphlet called The Fundamentals, and one of the main tenets of that pamphlet and of the fundamentalist movement was essentially that the Bible is true. And you know, with the exception of a minority of people who are in willful revolt of reality, you know, actually believing the Bible largely seems unacceptable. Now, I know that there's probably several Christians out there going, I believe the Bible, but I mean actually believing the Bible. I'm not talking about, well, okay, this is a metaphor and God-guided evolution like I was talking about before. That is post-Christianity. That is religion 2.0. That is God 2.0. I'm talking about really believing it in the sense that it was believed for millennia before most of the modern critiques of the Bible and many of the things that have come to light. there are a small minority in willful revolt against reality who are operating on, God 1.0, but with, Service Pack 3, 1.2.8.5 Service Pack 3, or whatever. But I think all we have to really point to is the fact that fundamentalists, somebody who actually believe, I believe the Bible, but I don't believe the Bible, I think that's all we really need to point to show that God is dead, even in America. But my question then sort of becomes, this new God in Religion 2.0, in which the Bible has become, as my teacher put it, a Rorschach test, where you just sort of read into it whatever you want, and God has become this nebulous idea, and everything is just this set of metaphors, and it's not a way so much of guiding your life as a way of affirming what you already believe, in a sense, and conveniently ignoring the rest. My question is, how long can this God in Religion 2.0 endure before people wake up and, again, to sort of refer back to what my teacher was saying, realize that at the end of the day, what really is the difference between showing up at a place you call a church and reading from the Bible, which you only take to be, a nice story and some metaphors and some advice, versus showing up at the same place and reading Shakespeare, Hamlet or something like that, or literature. And so, can this new God in Religion 2.0 endure? And how much longer will it be, assuming that it can't, before we get God in Religion 3.0, which I would speculate would be once people actually figure out that, the Bible, Shakespeare, the Bible, James Joyce, the Bhagavad Gita, and just it's all, the Matrix and everything just becomes this soup, this sort of mythological soup, as it were, and we're all it's this cloud of nebulous ideas, like the New Age movement largely is. I see, post-Christianity trending in the direction of the New Age movement to begin with. So just how long before everything just devolves into a set of, this nebulous goo of vagary? And will what will supersede that? And so, God is dead. We have killed him, you and I. I don't remember how the rest of it goes off the top of my head. How should we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers, and so forth. I'll post that in the description, the Madman passage. But that's it for now.